Welcome back to another video, this time doing activity 2.2.5 called CAD Design Tools. In this one, we're going to create a water heating tube that would go inside of a coffee maker, much like the one that we did the visual analysis on just yesterday. To make this tube, we're going to have to use a couple of new features. We're going to create a sweep, okay? Revolve, which we've already done once before. And we're not going to create this construction axis, but we are going to learn how to use a custom tool available in the Onshape public documents to make the threading. So this will continue to build our skills in modeling with CAD. So we have our technical drawing here, which includes an isometric section view and even a cutout here. Tells us how the threading is. We have a tapered edge here. Gives us a lot of information, all the information that we need, in fact, to create this. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a sweep feature. And that sweep is going to allow us to take a closed profile, like this circle you see, and essentially cause it to move across a path. And when that happens, that closed profile will develop around the path that we created, much like you see in this paperclip example here. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is create a solid U-shaped round bar to represent the main portion of the aluminum water tube, right? And it tells us not to include the 0.25 inch long tapered end just yet. We're going to do that with our revolve tool. So what we're going to do first is create this profile. How we're going to do that, if I sign back in here, I'm going to create a document, call it activity 2.2.5. And I'm going to begin a sketch on the front plane. And it's helpful if we start our sketch at the origin. So I'm going to use my line tool. I'm going to create my first line here. I'm going to make sure, mine have for some reason mine default to centimeters. I'm going to put mine in inches. I'm going to make sure that my first line is coincident to the origin, right? My coincident constraint, it's right here. And I'm going to use a tangent arc to create that bend, that U bend. And then I'll put another line up top here slightly shorter. So now I can begin to reference my drawing and add the dimensions I need. So the bottom portion of the tube needs to be 2.31 inches. So I'll grab my dimension tool from the top. And I'll come down here, I'll make this 2.31. The distance between these two lines is going to be 1.95. And this top line, well, it needs to be, I see I'm given a total 2.06, but I don't want to add in this 1/4 inch just yet. So I'm actually going to just put in 2.06 minus 0.25. And that's going to automatically get me where I need to be, which is 1.81. I can confirm the sketch now that I see it's fully defined. And I have the sweep path that I'm going to make, that I'm going to use. And now I need to make the closed profile to sweep it around here. Well, I know that my cross section is a circle, so that's the exact shape that I'm going to make for my sweep path. So I'm going to come to my right plane. I'm going to sketch on my right plane, and I'm going to make a center point circle coincident with the origin, just like that. Make sure it's centered on this plane. And then how wide does that circle need to be? Well, I'm given an outer diameter of 0.37. So I'm going to make this 0.37. Now I have the closed profile. Much like the loft tool, the sweep tool needs two separate sketches in order to function. So I'll grab my sweep tool from the top. The sweep asks me two things. A, what is it that you want to sweep? And B, what is the path that you want it to take? So the first thing is I'm going to select the circle. That's what I want to sweep. You notice this highlights in red. Go ahead and click on that. what's the path that you want to take? Well, I'm going to start clicking on that path that I just made, and I'll just hit check. So now I have the item from step 1. I have my solid tube. The next thing that it asks us to do is to create a revolve feature. A revolve is what's going to make this tapered edge that we see here. So in order to do this, I will again start a sketch on the front plane. And when I do this, what I want to do first is click on this use, right? This use allows me to use created geometry from a previous sketch. And I'm going to highlight this line. I'm going to click on that line. Okay, and I see that it turns black. Right? And if I turn, I can see I now have a line right down the middle of this that I can use to create my revolve feature. So I'm going to pull out my line tool, and I want to make sure I'm center, right? So when this box appears here, I'm center. I'm going to click this out. How far do I need to go? Well, I need to go 1/4 of an inch. That's how wide this part is. So I'll make this 0.25. Now the part that I need in order to make this taper, right? I'm going to have to kind of guess, right? How far up I want this edge to go that I'm dragging now. They don't really tell you. I'm going to make mine 0.125, which is 1/8 of an inch. So yours should be 0.125 as well. And then I'm going to connect this corner. I don't know why it's selecting that tool. I'm going to connect this corner to this corner. And I see that it shades in, so I can confirm that. And I'm ready to revolve. Remember, your revolve tool is up here. And it asks me for two things. It says, well, what do you want to revolve? Well, I want to revolve the sketch I just made. Now, where do you want to revolve it around? When I click on that, I want to select my midline here. And that creates my tapered edge. The next thing that I'm going to want to do is create my shell feature, right? So if I look at this hint, the shell wall thickness is the difference between the outside radius and the inside radius. The drawing specifies diameters, not radii, right? So if I look at this, my diameters are 0.27 and 0.37. The difference between those diameters is 0.1. The difference between the radius is half of that, 0.05. So when I click my shell tool, I want to select, I need to select the two faces of my water part, and for the shell thickness, I want to put in 0.05. And that gives me the shell that I'm looking for. So we're almost done with this. What do we need to add? Well, what we need to add now is our thread. Now, Fusion is nice. They have a thread feature, and in fact, so does Onshape. However, this thread feature is a little bit weird to use, and it doesn't always exactly work correctly, and it can give you a little bit more grief than you want. So instead, we're going to add a custom tool. This is kind of like modding a game that you've had, right? I can add a custom feature with this plus button. So if I click plus, I want to search in public. And in public, I want to search thread creator. And the very first thing that pops up is this. So I'll click on that, and here's the tool that I'm looking for. I want to click on that again, and now it tells me the custom feature was added to your toolbar. So when I hit this arrow now, I see that I have thread creator. So to go ahead and choose that tool, we want to create the thread on this part, right? Now, this is what it's going to default to look like. Obviously, that's not going to do us much good. I have to read the thread note up here. Now, I know we haven't really done thread notes. So if I read this, it says 3/8 16. This 16 is what we're interested in. That's the pitch, Okay, that's telling me I have 16 threads per inch. So in this pitch, I'm going to put 1/16. I'm going to hit enter. And when it loads, I'm going to see that my thread pitch changed. And I'm not fully threaded, right? How far does my thread go? Only 1/2 inch. So instead of fully threaded, I'm going to click on distance. And that distance I'm going to choose to be 0.5 inches. And most threads on an external feature have a taper. So go ahead and click that check for the taper so that it starts with a tapered edge, and then just hit check. Okay? And that gives me the thread that I need in order to thread this on or thread a nut onto here to create this. So that's what our part will look like. And I don't believe it tells us to do this. But what we are going to do is we're actually going to assign this a material. It tells me that it's aluminum. So I want to assign it a material by right-clicking on my part, assign the material, and let's choose aluminum. We're just going to choose basic old aluminum, hit check. And now when I hit my mass properties, when I click on this, I'm given a mass, so it's 0.016 kilograms. All right, I have a volume of 0.361 inches cubed and a surface area. And that is my part. Now you can go through, and if you want to change the appearance of your part, you are more than welcome to do that as well. You can add some color to it. You can make it a gray feature, right? To look a little bit more like how our tube should look, according to this drawing up here. Fusion is nice. They have a lot of very here it is. They have nice modeling for different materials, but that's simple enough for us. So hope this helps when you're making your water heating tube from activity 2.2.5, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.